Freelancers, small business owners, consultants, and solopreneurs. Some people are just drawn to working for themselves. I'm Owen Roth. In this show, I have conversations with self-employed folks about their career journeys. Welcome to the Bossless Path podcast. And here we go. Today I'm joined by Nate Barrios, who's the owner of Beaver Town Movers here in Corvallis, Oregon. Nate, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Owen.
So tell us a little bit about your moving business.
Beaver Town Movers is a moving company based here in beautiful Corvallis, Oregon, where we are currently doing this recording right now. We've been in business for 7 years here. Beaver Town Movers is a load-unload moving labor service for the Corvallis area. So we specialize in the moving muscle, and our customer actually gets the truck themselves, like through U-Haul or a truck rental service. And we specialize our service to charge the lowest rate possible for the moving muscle and to save our customers money on the total cost of local moves, whether they're doing a local move within the Corvallis-Albany area, or they just are coming from out of state and need help unloading or loading up their truck. Our company can provide that affordable moving muscle for a lower cost compared to full-service moving companies that provide their own trucks, but typically charge a lot of extra fees for this. And we've kind of cornered out a niche in this market here for the type of low-cost labor services for moving that we do.
One of your former employees or contractors, I guess, told me about you, and I was like, that's such a cool idea. Like, is that a business model you came up with?
It is not, no. And it is probably the more simpler way to get into the moving business that I can talk more about later for sure. But I did start this moving business as a labor service along kind of the same lines of other businesses that I did know and start working for to begin with. And as a worker and employee there, where I started to learn the ins and outs of the moving business and how that type of operation worked. And once I was quickly able to figure that out, I started my own business. Did start that from a pretty young age and have owned a business pretty much all of my adult working life for the past 7 years. So
the business name, it's such a cool name. Can you tell us about how you came up with that?
Yeah, looking back at it now, it does seem a little silly in a way, but it does work for us. Again, Beaver Town Movers is based here in Corvallis, where Oregon State is a strong part of the community and that identity here. And
the Beavers being the mascot.
The Beavers are the mascot here at Oregon State, yep. And so trying to tie, just create any theme or with the business, try to market it like we are based here and we belong here, even though we just got started here. I guess that was part of it. And I think Beaver Moving was already taken, actually. Okay. So it's just the shorter Beaver Moving is gone. And Beaver Town Movers is the name of the business. So that's what we have sort of, the trademarked LLC, that type of thing.
Like I said, it's a fantastic name. It's very clever of you to think of it and jump on the domain name. That's a huge part too.
Yeah, definitely works. Mm-hmm.
Let's dive into that story. Can you take us back to the beginning of like your early working career? It sounds like you said you were really young when you started.
Yeah, I was. So my very first job was just a dishwasher at a pizza place. Very standard job for a 16-year-old to get. Sure. And even something that I encourage every 16-year-old to do is start off with some type of job in general, but a hardworking job, like a restaurant job, for example. Just learning the ins and outs of hard work and kind of putting your head down and getting to work is very useful. Mm-hmm. My parents came from restaurant industry themselves. That's how they met, actually. So my dad has a lot to instill with good professional, like customer service and just hard work in the restaurant business. And I was a dishwasher and busboy at a pizza place for about a year, mm-hmm. and learning just how to work as a 16-year-old. And pretty quickly, I was involved with some friends who had some older brothers and friends, and I was picking up summer jobs for their moving businesses. And there was one gentleman who was in his 30s, and he had a business that operated like the one I do now, where it's just a load-unload labor service, and they provide the moving muscle while their customer does get the truck themselves. I probably provided a full summer's worth of that labor working for that company and picking up jobs. And pretty quickly, I figured out this is something I might be able to do myself with the resources I have at hand, which isn't, you don't need much to start. And I'll talk more about that too.
Sure.
And I did start this business actually when I was a 17-year-old. So I was a little bit underage to be doing this type of business, admittedly. I did have my father sign off on a lot of paperwork and really have the business legally in his name, with me operating it and being the person on the job site. I did that for some time, and this was actually in the Chicago area where I grew up.
Okay.
And I had that business there for about a year. Did make saved up money, made good money just off of doing that there. And I did move to Oregon in 2016 to go to school and to live here in the Pacific Northwest. And I got another job out here. It was a landscaping job, pretty full time as well.
Mm-hmm.
And during that about 7-9 months of living here and working that job, I started to establish a new moving business, which is then and now Beaver Town Movers. And over those months of gaining the reputation here in Corvallis to sustain enough business coming in to kind of make that my main income, I left that landscaping job in the start of summer. I was doing moving business as me and just another person for quite some time, establishing Beaver Town Movers to the reputation that it is now. Gotcha. So really have been doing this since as far as I can remember in terms of my working career, and we've been doing it since.
For most people, I ask them like how their adult, working career started, but yours was like pre-adult. I mean, 17 is like, yeah, you couldn't even legally have it in your name. That's why you had to have your dad sign off on things.
Absolutely. And I guess for the record here, I'm only 25, about to turn 26 right now. So currently am still a young business owner in general.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious. So going back to the beginning in Chicago, you were still in high school, I'm guessing, at 17, or had you just graduated when you started it?
So actually, I did graduate pretty early, actually. I graduated high school as a 16-year-old.
Oh, wow.
So a little bit different than other people as well.
Yeah.
I was young for my grade. I was about a year young for my grade, being born in California and then moving to Illinois to go to school and live there. Also, I wasn't really the biggest fan of high school, I would say. I was ready to start a more adult, responsible life at that point already for some reason. I mean, at least have more freedom and responsibility than being in the lockdown of high school, I guess.
Sure.
By 16 and even 15, I was already doing a lot of traveling. I did some summer road trips with my friends across the country and even went as far as the Pacific Northwest and Oregon and Washington. It's like a teenager to explore this beautiful country and everything that there is to offer outside of the Midwest. So coming back to Illinois, I was really ready to leave, and this not going some other maybe not as wise decisions like even GED or other routes. I buckled down and graduated high school early as a 16-year-old. I took online classes and summer classes, becoming 15, and I got out of there without a senior year. So I was able to start my working career a little bit early and have more free time. However, at the same time, I also immediately from 16 to 18 was going to the local community college to start my associate's degree as well. Gotcha. So I was also in school full time, getting a college degree, and I did earn that associate's by the time I was 18 years old too.
Wow. That's incredible, man. You are definitely the exception when it comes to that. I didn't even know leaving high school early without a GED was an option.
I was
that right now. According
to my guidance counselor, I was the only person to do that out of, a decade or two of that high school being in existence and about 1,000 kids per graduating class too. It was a rather big high school.
Yeah.
So it definitely was the exception. Yes. I think I did work with some good guidance counselors and did go to a good high school where, they had the resources to rather work with me than abandon me. So I was grateful for that, and especially grateful for that now looking back. So do have that high school degree, an associate's degree. I would say I've always been sort of a make it happen type of person, like a go-getter, or if there is like a problem at hand or a task at hand, it's going to get solved one way or another if I'm in charge of it.
Yeah.
And that's the way I've looked at a lot of life and problems, and that confidence and mentality has been successful so far.
Yeah, it sounds like it. That's like such a cool skill like to learn. Like right off the bat, you just jumped into it. And I mean, like I graduated when I was 18. I was old for my school year. Like to think about like owning a business like straight out of like you were already in business, like or getting there, I should say.
Yeah, so at this point it is like sort of a long time thinking back, especially how time is relative. The ages from 17 to 25 is a really big, important chunk of your life where a lot happens, and it does feel like a long time ago. So looking back at that today during this interview is interesting because, it does seem like sort of a distant past at this point, even though it really isn't at the same time. It's just about 6-7 years ago.
Relative, like you said.
Yeah, but, time is relative, I guess, when you're young. So, yeah, I've been doing that since a 17-year-old, and since then.
Well, yeah, the mentality part of that is what's really interesting to me. Like, how did you gain the confidence to step into something? So I don't remember if I told you this when we had a conversation prior to this interview, but like I did have like a little video production business shortly after high school, but I only did it as like a very like passive kind of business, and it was with a couple friends, and I wouldn't have done it without them because it was scary.
Yeah.
But you like jumped into it solo. I mean, your dad had to sign for things, but it sounds like you're the one who's pushing it and making it happen.
Yeah, and I did not ride this journey completely solo. I wouldn't necessarily say I had a mentor during this process, but I did have a equivalent peer, and that would be my best friend growing up, Jason, from high school. Jason was a friend that I would hang out with almost every day, spend most of the days together. We'd be together all the time. And it was his brother that got me into the moving business as of just a temporary part-time worker. Okay. And me and Jason were helping his brother out, and it's really his friend's brother with his business, or his brother's friend. And me and Jason both had the same idea together that we could start a moving business.
Okay.
And actually, rather than start the same moving business together, we actually started two separate moving businesses.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
And because we equally felt confident in each other's ability to run a business, and we felt each other as equals at the same time, where we both just felt like we could do it independently. Okay. And we were both small businesses. We're in a big market like Chicago. We really weren't making that much of a competitive dent in each other's business. It's just
sure.
At this point, it's just such a big market. Hopefully somebody finds our businesses. We'll kind of talk about how that started as well. But we started our own separate businesses, and they both grew. And flash forward to today, actually, I have my business here in Corvallis, Oregon, as a load-unload labor service that has grown substantially over the years, but has not really changed too much in its business model. Well, my friend Jason now lives in Portland, Oregon, where he has his full-service moving company based up there, and he's been doing really the same thing for his entire, he's been moving his whole life as well, and that's what he knows. And he owns about 3 trucks up there in Portland, and a couple pickup trucks where he'll tow U-boxes and other type of storage containers to load and unload on people's sites. Gotcha. So he has a different business model up there, and I don't think we don't share each other's direct customers. We are in different markets currently. So it's interesting to be able to talk to a good best friend and share each other's experiences and offer each other advice as sort of equivalence rather than any type of mentor situation. So that's been interesting over the years.
That's really interesting. And it's funny that you guys both moved from your hometown, Chicago, out to Oregon, even though you're 90 minutes apart.
Yeah, exactly. He was the friend that I was doing some of these across the country road trips with back in high school as well. So, back in the day, we were always a good team. And we even had some entrepreneurial spirits back then as me and Jason. We would buy and sell clothes that we buy from Goodwill on eBay.
Oh, yeah.
In a town where we lived in, it wouldn't be uncommon to find some pretty nice brand name jeans or, Victoria's Secret, whatever type of brand name stuff sells well on eBay at some of these Goodwill places for obviously a huge discount. Yeah. And we would make hundreds of dollars a month off of selling and mailing out things off of eBay. And that would helped fund a lot of those road trips early on as well. This was us as 15-year-olds before we're even legally able to work as 16-year-olds.
Yeah.
So we've always been in entrepreneurial spirits and a good team making money in various ways. And this is another opportunity for us to make money. And we've been just helping each other out since then, just advice and talking, and would like to hang out with him more. Unfortunately, he lives about that 90 minutes away and just far enough to not see him as often as I'd like. But it's been an interesting relationship over the years.
You might be the first person I've ever met who has had that almost like parallel relationship with someone where you weren't, I guess you were competitors, but it sounds like not very much back in Chicago. And then you've just followed the same career path, but haven't worked directly together, but you can support each other in one way. That's so cool.
Yeah. And it's definitely been interesting to hear about how his business model has evolved over the years in a much more different way than mine has.
Right.
He's been able to offer me advice about how I could transition to a full service moving company, some of the complications that is associated with that. And it has me evaluating whether I want to do that or not. Have been thinking about that, but
sure.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. I'm sure that's a whole nother can of worms to open that door. 'Cause then you have to deal with probably different insurance. I don't know the details, but I'm sure there's a million things that factor into that.
Well, so on that topic here, yes, it's I have been doing this particular business model for 6 years now, and it's continued to grow the business over the years, but we haven't expanded into that different market where we are offering that full service moving services. Mm-hmm. And there is obviously a lot of complications to start with that. First off is owning a truck, buying a truck, and storing a truck is a complicated, expensive process.
Sure.
And there's a lot more insurances, licensing, fees, ODOT regulations that go involved when one is a full service moving company. And the type of clientele that you're after is different. You're marketing to different types of people in different types of ways.
Right.
You have to hire different types of workers. Typically, it's more 40-hour-a-week workers than part-time workers with a type of long service business model. Mm-hmm. One reason why I haven't started that for a very long time is I was in school in Oregon State College for most of the time here in Oregon, earning my bachelor's degree. Gotcha. And also running the business at the same time.
That's what brought you out here is school?
I would say a 50-50. I really did want to come to the Pacific Northwest, and I think that was one of the main drivers to come to this region. And one of the main drivers to come to Corvallis was Oregon State. I did, earn my associate's degree from a community college called College of DuPage out in Illinois. And I did have an idea that I'd like to continue school and continue sciences. And what I went to Oregon State for originally was environmental science. And I did apply for Oregon State because I did have an interest in environmental science and environmental efforts. I'm a big nature person. I really like hiking and camping, and that type of nature is what brought me to the Pacific Northwest. Mm-hmm. And I did want to try to help out a warming world, one facing climate change and different types of environmental degradation and habitat destruction in whatever way I can in a scientific way. So that's why I try to start environmental science. I did have a roommate at the time who very interestingly and wisely challenged me about what environmental science is and what it does.
Okay.
And he asked me, like, what do you want to do? What does an environmental scientist do? What do they do? And I obviously do something, but I didn't really know at the time, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. And him in the engineering program kind of just convinced me. He's like, you should join some type of engineering program. I think you're capable of doing that. It would maybe you could do more of that problem solving and, that you are interested in. So doing my research at the different type of degrees offered at Oregon State, I did land on ecological engineering,
Okay.
which is an engineering based degree. It's an ABET accredited degree. It's in the College of Engineering, but it's a sustainable focused degree where you work on various environmental projects such as habitat restoration, stream restoration for the different type of fisheries in the Pacific Northwest, stormwater restoration. There's a lot of different things you do with ecological engineering, civil-based, environmental-based, that just all focus around sustainability. So it's a really interesting, unique degree offered at Oregon State, and that is what I got my degree in, and I did graduate in 2021.
Okay, so a couple years ago.
Yeah, a couple years ago. And this type of career that I've had as a business owner for this type of moving business is simply what allowed me to earn money and be a full-time student at the same time.
Yeah.
Simply was a very fortunate situation that I have. There's no surprise that college is very expensive in this entire country right now. And thankfully, I did go to a school that is a relatively low cost of tuition compared to the different types of schools and especially private schools that are out there. Oregon State's in-state tuition is rather cheap. And I was able to move to Oregon and earn that in-state residency right away by living out here and working out here. And since I moved out here when I was 18 years old, I have been almost entirely independent since I've been here. Wow. I don't receive any help financially from parents except for a few things, phone bill and health insurance, which I'm still very thankful for.
Yeah.
Does make a big difference, including with the recent knee surgery that I've had. I will be not having that insurance in about 2 months, so got to get that figured out, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, that window closes at 26, right?
Yeah, I gotta get that figured out. So I've used that my parents' health insurance and phone bill for sure, but since I've been out of the house as an 18-year-old, rent, food, bills, car insurance, everything has been on my dime, including my tuition as well. I've taken out FAFSA loans, the federal loans for my schooling, and everything else that didn't cover. I'm typing my personal debit card in to pay that bill. Fortunately, I did not have to take out any additional loans besides some federal loans during my time at school, no private loans. And I am graduating, or did graduate, with relatively low debt compared to the national average, compared to even people at Oregon State, other people who may have had to pay out-of-state tuition. So very fortunate that my debt currently is low for student debt. Having this job was the only way to sort of pay for that, I feel like. I mean, I don't understand how people could work, a minimum wage job and pay for school and actually pay for school.
Yeah.
It is impossible in this economy. And
you have to take on debt.
Yeah, you have to take on lots more debt than the federal loans might allow. In this economy, it does seem impossible that the average person can work an average school job, a minimum wage around something that a normal student would work part-time at and pay for school. It's not what our parents had to deal with or our grandparents. This is an inflated economy, and it does worry me. And I just still remain really grateful and thankful that I was fortunate to have an opportunity to make substantially much more money per hour than the average student in school.
Yeah.
To be able to work around my school schedule and pay for school. I'm very grateful.
I mean, you sound like you you worked hard, and B, you worked intelligently.
Mm-hmm.
And not only were you making more per hour, you're building a business that now that you've graduated, you've built this thing up and it's got bigger. So in a way, you're like building equity in your own business as well at the same time.
Yeah, definitely. And so working as a full-time student for most of my time at Beaver Town Movers, keeping the business model as simple as possible as a load unload labor service and not a full service moving company was the definite main incentive why not to expand, grow, and introduce a lot more headaches as a 22-year-old full-time college student.
Yeah.
It just wasn't necessary. Flash forward to now, there is a lot more opportunity for me to become a full-service moving company. I have the free time and some capital to expand if I need to.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really been a tough issue to contemplate and what to do. Another component to it is my business model is very low overhead and has very few fixed costs, almost no variable costs. And I do believe that we can weather different ebbs and flows of the market, the economy, the housing market, which our company is tied to in a different way than the real estate market would be. Whether people are buying big new homes or foreclosing on their homes, they're still going to be moving and hiring moving services. I guess a moving business in general, people will always be moving. They're not going to be inventing any moving robots to take our places anytime soon. So I guess job security wise, there will always be a need for movers and people to work with people. And this type of business model isn't going to change anytime soon. It's not going to be automated robots, anything like that, obviously.
Yeah.
And with the low cost, low overhead business model of a load unload labor service, when automobile prices and truck prices, used truck prices go up, and it's really hard to find used trucks, which was happened a lot in 2021, 2022 is still the case right now. We don't have to struggle with that issue. Insurance rates have been going up for various different types of motor vehicle coverage, and we don't have to worry about that either. Gas prices, we don't have to pay for really, we don't have to fill up giant diesel trucks with hundreds of gallons during the week and reflect that cost by either our bottom end or our bottom end or to our customers.
Right.
I think that this business model can weather different parts of ebbs and flows in the economy. And since we are a low-cost labor service, if the economy does become really bad, we are the cheapest option for them compared to a full-service company.
Gotcha. So it's a strategic placement at like the lower end cost-wise. It sounds like you've made it so your business is nimble as possible, minimum overhead, and one of the byproducts by design is that you're pretty insulated from all of these like potential things that could derail you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Insulated is a good word. We do feel that some of these, changes in the economy we have not felt in our bottom line as much. And we do specifically keep our costs as low as possible so we can reflect that onto our customers and keep their costs as low as possible. Sure. And it is a advertising point of our business as we are the Corvallis area's highest rated moving labor service for the lowest cost. We are the lowest cost option to do a local move in Corvallis. And on top of that, you're getting the best 5-star service here. So that is part of our advertising for sure.
Yeah, it's so smart. Like I've suffered through, I don't know, half a dozen moves, and I always have done it myself because like I just haven't want to shell out the money, and I have like enough friends that I've been able to do it. But the last 2 moves, I've really been like, you know what? It'd be great to like have some movers, and I didn't look into it. I should have, because if I had found you guys or someone like you in the other towns I've lived in, then I would have been like, oh yeah, that makes sense. It's not that expensive.
Yeah, absolutely. So for the record here, our hourly rates for our 2-man crew are $100 per hour, which is about half or a little bit less than some of our competitors for their full service companies in the area. And If you are doing a local move in Corvallis and you choose to use our service compared to a full service moving company, your total overall cost of the move will be about half. So I unfortunately, some people don't know that this service is available for them.
Yeah, I didn't.
And that is part of our, way we market, or why we market, so we can get that message out and that service out there to as many people as possible. Because lots of people do local moves with U-Hauls and would never think to hire movers, but we can be a pretty, save your back for a low cost for sure. A lot of people here in the area think that we do move for students, since we are based in a college town, and they say, "Oh, you must be really busy moving students in and out all the time."
Yeah.
And sometimes the students themselves tell me that, and I ask them, "When is the last time that you hired a moving service?"
Right. Yeah.
And they're like, "Never." I'm like, because students, they don't have a lot of stuff. They have about a suitcase and an organizer, maybe a futon bed if they're lucky. They don't have too much money to shell out for moving services.
Mm-hmm.
And they do typically have a friend with someone who has a pickup truck that is willing to help them out. So
Yeah.
we really don't move for too many students. We're actually moving for professors or people. If anyone's associated with Oregon State, it's the professionals and the teachers and the families that live around Oregon State.
Yeah.
And then the other people, just everyone else in the community in general, other families and people of older age who aren't going to be doing the moving themselves. We help out a lot of those people too.
Gotcha. Yeah. That's interesting. I think maybe the name Beaver Town Movers also might put that image in someone's head that it's like servicing students, perhaps. I mean, that's when I heard the name, I'm like, oh yeah, no, it's like it's within the realm of the university.
So with our realm in the university, we are not officially affiliated with Oregon State at all. But we do market that we are a local moving service, proudly based in the Corvallis community, proudly owned and operated in the Corvallis community by local Oregon State alumni like myself and other alumni and current Oregon State students. So with the type of workers that we do have on our team, pretty much everybody is college educated or currently being college educated and working towards their degree. We do have a pretty young team with us, and it does seem to fit around a lot of these students' schedules, where they're not necessarily working 40 hours a week, but they're doing the type of work that I did during my college career, working maybe 10 to 25 hours a week, potentially, depending on how busy that school week is for you. Fitting in work on the days that you don't have classes. We do really try to work with our student workers and offer a really flexible schedule and understanding of their student schedule, and have a large enough team to accommodate for that. But a lot of our workers are students, like I was as well.
How large is your team?
So we currently have about 4 crew leaders and about 6 crew members working with us right now. And that is after hiring about 2 or 3 more people. We are looking to expand our team a little bit more. We would like to have about 4 or 5 crew leaders on hand and about 6 or 7 crew members on hand. Again, our team does not work 40 hours a week. The average one works about 10 to 20 hours. Each team member does work various hours throughout the week and has weekly averages for sure. Some members desire more hours than other team members that might have different responsibilities in their lives or different school schedules. And that's why we are a pretty good employer, because we can accommodate for people's different school schedules and things going on in their life.
How do you manage that team? How do you pick who goes on what job and what have you?
With them having a flexible schedule, they actually get to pick their own work schedule throughout the week. I do have a calendar that they have access to where any job that I have scheduled in, they can see. And then I send out a poll in a group chat that all of our team members are a part of, and they can actually pick the shifts that they're available and willing to work. I wait till those polls are filled out and send out a confirmation message of who's assigned to what job. They will see that reflected in the calendar. And so people are actually kind of picking which jobs they'd like to work throughout the week.
Gotcha.
So it helps people with their own school schedule.
That's a really cool system.
Yeah.
This has to have happened before when there's, multiple people who want the same thing. You're like 5 team members want to be on this job that only needs 2.
Yeah.
How do you handle that?
So it's not the problem as much as I'd like it to be. And typically the other problem is we have so much work that sometimes nobody signs up for a single one. And I will be like, come on, guys, someone needs to sign up for this. And I'll have to here and there directly message people. But for the most part, that's not an issue. And it's
to offer incentives to like, I'll pay an extra whatever an hour or something.
I try not to because it sets a precedent that, it just hold off long enough and he'll pay you more. So I really don't do that. I try to get work figured out beforehand.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, here, now it's not too much of a problem. But usually people select all the things and I schedule them out. They still work like 4 or 5 days a week and they're happy to work that amount. And they didn't need more hours. They felt their bodies are tired and they're good to go after the time I assign them for typically.
Yeah. Yeah. Has there been a lot of growth in you learning like how to balance the size of your team and the amount of business that you're going to get to find that like ideal number? Yeah.
So, since our business continues to grow, really, we are just continually expanding that team. And one of the problems, I guess, with hiring students is we do have a high turnover rate with that particular population. Either they graduate in an inevitable amount of time, and we typically only have workers for a maximum of like 3 years or so, maybe 4 years at the most, who started their college career and their Beaver Town mover career early, stayed with us the whole time. So typically we only have workers stay with us for about 2 to 3 years while they're finishing their school. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, we have people leaving us sooner because they will get some type of full-time job relevant to their degree on campus. Like they get a lab job, they have an internship that they're working in. And that's something that is, they have to dedicate more time to and probably not even getting paid as much, but they are working towards their degree and, working in their school. So of course, we do lose the occasional person that too as well, unfortunately.
Yeah. I guess that's the downside of your business model, or maybe it's not a downside, but just one of the problems that's created is just the way it's structured that you have to deal with.
Yeah, it's an issue that comes up. That being said, though, at the same time, we have a replenishing, population of potential new workers as well.
Right.
This is not a stagnant town, and we have a continual revolving amount of, new workers who come in for school and are looking to make money on the side or as a part-time job. Mm-hmm. So at the same time, too, that has been also helpful that we can have, not a stale amount of people in town in the same workforce, but we have new workers coming in that can be part of our team too.
Small college town, you got that youth population who's coming in, who've got that flexibility in their schedules.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm curious about that side of things. So managing this team, did you have anyone else helping you, or is it you're the one doing all of this managing?
Pretty much. So I am the owner and operations manager. So my roles at Beaver Town Movers, besides just owning the business, include all the scheduling. So I am the main point of contact for any potential clients and customers who call and contact our business. They can contact us via our website, beavertownmovers.com. They can email us. And most often I just get a call, typically out of the blue, from a customer or client who's never contacted us before. Mm-hmm. Maybe they're looking at our website in front of them and just calling for more information.
Sure.
But I spend a lot of the day, many calls a day, taking calls from prospective clients and answering any of their questions and describing our service, trying to describe why this service is the best for them, which is a struggle sometimes and has been a struggle over the years trying to sell our business model to people. Even though we are a cheaper service overall, some people just don't want to deal with the headache and the confusion of potentially having to go get their own truck.
They want something that's turnkey where they just like move my stuff. I don't want to deal with any
Yeah,
logistics. Yeah.
And it makes sense for a lot of people who, if work is compensating the entire move, there's no incentive to try to cut corners and save costs if
Sure.
you're not the one paying for the move. And then some of our clients simply don't have a driver's license or too old to drive and don't have a driver's license.
Yeah. Well, that's just not your
And
target.
that's not our clients right now. And I'd like to talk more about some of our marketing and websites at one point. And thankfully, clearing a lot of information on our website has made that made for less complications and confusions for prospective clients calling us. It's very clear on our website the type of business that we are.
Gotcha.
Now it is.
When you say now it is, how quickly did you learn that when you're like, oh, I need to be have a little bit more clarity? Was that early on?
Yeah. So we have a website now, beavertownmovers.com, and we've had that domain for most of Beaver Town Movers' existence. Admittedly, the website that I had for the past 3-4 years, up until only about a year ago or less, was a very basic, very rudimentary website. There was just one single landing page and just basic contact information. It says we're a load-unload labor service, but a lot of people didn't know what that means when they call.
I didn't know what that meant before.
Yeah, exactly. So on our homepage, currently it talks a lot more about that. So our website was professionally redesigned. Shout out to Phantom Eye Design in Athens, Georgia, I believe where they're from.
Oh, really?
And because we did get our website professionally redesigned to offer a lot more functionality and clarity to our prospective clients. So when they do log into our website, it's a much more clean, professional landing page with not professionally taken pictures, but they look good. We did have a photo shoot of the whole Beaver Town Movers team, moving furniture just to move it back. It was actually in my own home.
Oh, okay.
So we had a whole photo shoot with the trucks,
Yeah.
stage shoot. Yeah, totally.
I've shot shoots like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And, I was the photographer for that one. So I was trying to be as creative with my shots as possible during that. So that's actually what we have on the website at the moment. And there is a Meet the Beaver Town Movers team. There's actually a biography page that has a sort of profile picture and a quick bio of each one of our team members. Mm-hmm. And that allows for prospective clients to get a good feel of who would be potentially entering their home and working with them and handling their belongings, and knowing that we're real local people, and a lot of us Oregon State students, and we have our own interests and hobbies, and we're just good kids, good people in a way. So we do offer a section on our website where customers can look at our team, and we have an FAQ section, which I think is really helpful for our prospective clients to look at, where they can say, the very first question is, do you own trucks? No, we do not own trucks. We do not operate trucks. Why don't you own trucks? We do this service to charge the lowest rate possible, reduce our overhead. Really quick bit.
Yeah, but that's important to get that out of the way quick. It's just like...
it's like we don't own trucks because we can't or not legally allowed to. This is why we do the business, is to charge the lowest rate possible for you.
Right.
And a few other sections, what we do provide, what we don't provide, what we can move, what we can't move. So hopefully that clears up a lot of stuff before our customers actually pick up the phone and call us. There is a section to actually submit the information that we need for your move. So we have all prospective clients actually fill out that booking form. That comes to my email. I can add that into my calendar, send out an email confirmation, and everything is just in a much more efficient system in my computer for that.
Yeah.
Instead of text messages, and it was a lot of learning things over the years of how to efficiently schedule people, contact people, manage customers, manage payments, manage all the info that goes into running a business. I think I have it down pretty good right now. I do like to be involved that much with my business. It does get a little mundane at times, but it is important to really understand all the information that is relevant to your business, the numbers, the ins and outs, the inflows and outflows, how much you're paying people. And, I feel like I'm okay at making myself making sure things don't slip through the cracks and stuff compared to relying on other services.
You
And
got
it
your
really is not.
fingers on the pulse. You can feel the flow of everything that's going on.
I do try to, yeah, with monetary things and just all the information and scheduling people. I like to be the person in charge of that.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not running a giant corporation. We don't have hundreds of employees. So this is something that I kind of should be able to handle myself. It's not a huge business, but I have chosen to be the operations manager that handles all that daily operation, expanding more into my responsibilities. So again, scheduling and building and maintaining the team. So I am the hiring manager, and we actually did recently hire 3 more workers in the past 3 weeks, and had a whole hiring process for that. And still we'll probably look for 1 or 2 more people before the start of our school year as well. So I'm responsible for putting out those advertisements online, reviewing those applicants, and doing the interviews, vetting all those people and getting them on our team, getting them trained, getting them oriented. So that's all my responsibility as well.
You said you injured your knee, so you're less hands-on as far as actually moving things these days.
100% right now.
Yeah.
Leading up to this knee injury, I would do a lot of crew leads. And I guess rewinding here, for the first few years of Beaver Town Movers, 2016, 2017, 2018, I was the crew leader on jobs. We were not scheduling that many hours a week, and I'm trying to make as much money as possible. So I would be happy to be on the job site doing the actual lifting of the furniture. And obviously I know how it's important to know how that part of the business works for sure. If I was just the owner and operations manager and I never handled people's furniture once, it wouldn't work. I wouldn't be that successful. I wouldn't understand the ins and outs of the business. So learning the ins and outs of how to load a truck and people's furniture is very vital to owning a business of anything. You have to know, to own any business, you need to know how every part of it works, the ins and outs, the technicalities. Even if that's not what your role anymore, not part of your pay scale, whatever. Sure. You need to know how every level of your operation works. And up until about maybe 2 years ago, I'd say, from the past 2.5 years, it was hiring more crew leaders and having people that have been on the Beaver Town Movers team for long enough that they gain the responsibility to be able to lead jobs themselves.
Right.
So with crew leaders, that is the harder position to fill, because it really is crew members that we hire and have to train to become crew leaders in our understanding our operation, our work, our culture, how we produce good business.
Right. And then you're battling in that area. You'd be battling what you're talking about earlier, longevity of some of your employees.
Yeah.
Potentially short. So.
Right. So having enough crew leaders on hand has been some of the biggest struggle for sure. Yeah. Having enough of those really trained workers who can know how to properly load a truck, how to wrap certain types of furniture and carry things from certain way, disassemble some certain things. Yeah. A lot of trade skills that the crew leader is required to have on the job site to properly handle and load a truck.
Gotcha. You wear a lot of hats. You've mentioned many of them so far. And now that you're more hands-off as far as not moving furniture yourself, at least at the time being, what does your average day or week look like, if there is such a thing as an average?
I am doing some type of Beaver Town Movers about 7 days a week because I keep my phone on, ready to accept potential clients calling 7 days a week. Technically, my hours of operation for calls are 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., 7 days a week. I try to stick to that as much as possible and be around my phone as much as possible.
Except during podcast interviews. At the same time, though, I don't stay at my desk during those hours, 7 days a week at all. Sure. Mm-hmm.
So my responsibilities now during the week are taking those calls, sending out those confirmation emails and asking any question or answering any questions that clients have about their moves. We do a lot of, talking with already scheduled customers who need to change the time or change the date. And
Sure.
there's definitely some follow-ups that happen between that initial call and the time we're actually there.
Mm-hmm.
Not for everybody, but often enough. Scheduling, sending out those schedules, making sure everyone knows where they need to be throughout the work week, sending out those payments throughout the week. I am pretty on top of keeping keeping people paid pretty regularly throughout the week. And so all of that work is done remotely. I don't have to be on the job site for anything. Here and there, I will actually show up on the job site because it's close to my house, and I'll just say hi, and I'll maybe drop off a couple Gatorades for the guys there.
Yeah.
Shake the customer's hand, introduce myself as the owner, just show my face here and there, just as a, let the community and our customers know I'm quite involved in the business still. But
Yeah, you're not off in Hawaii
Yeah.
you're just like, oh, I just got back from surf,
Right.
check in. No, you actually show up and show your face.
But for currently 2% of our job still, though,
Yeah, but yeah, you are around.
I am around, and I am around if customers or our workers need anything as well. I can drop off a couple bit of supplies usually if they need and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I currently do all my work remotely. So I will take calls throughout the day, and then I try to about once a day or every other day, usually every day, catch up on all my emails. Make sure that if I talk to a customer today, they sent me the information, we have that availability, that they get that confirmation email sent to them that day.
Mm-hmm.
So they know they're in, they don't have to worry, they're in our books, their move is confirmed.
Mm-hmm.
So just trying to keep up with that email communication on a somewhat regular basis. Try to do that at least once a day.
Mm-hmm.
From the computer. So, and then all that work is really just laptop stuff. My days are pretty chill, honestly. I'll wake up, cook some breakfast, walk the dog, take her to the dog park, go to the gym, do whatever I want. And I have to fit in about maybe 2 hours of laptop work a day at most,
Mm-hmm.
at some point in the day, and keep my phone on me.
Yeah.
So I do value a lot of the freedom I have in my schedule.
Yeah.
I guess if you're thinking about the math, it really only equates to about 15 hours of work a week, maybe. So it's not a full-time job for a full-time operation job necessary.
Right. But this is built off of many years of you getting to where you are right now.
Absolutely.
So it's not like you just, started and I only work 15 hours a week, but I make all the money I need to support myself.
Yeah, it definitely took a long time getting here, and a lot of actual, sweat and being on the job site to earn the reputation that we do have now.
Absolutely.
To keep that business self-sustaining.
Mm-hmm.
So currently we are a 5-star company on every platform that we do advertise on.
Mm-hmm.
That is Google, Facebook, Yelp, movinghelp.com, which is a website ran through U-Haul, and it's actually how we got started. I'll talk about that in a bit.
You're a 5-star rated company, which you pride yourself on, rightly so. I'm sure there has to be occasions when something gets damaged accidentally or something happens.
Right.
How do you handle those situations?
Yeah, so these situations do happen, and we do try to minimize those as much as possible. But when the occasional accident might happen, I do try to work really directly with the client. We run a tight ship, but we are still humans and make mistakes.
Of course.
And we just don't argue with customers. I think that's a big thing is, not necessarily customers always right, but a customer doesn't want to argue when problems happen. And
Right.
we try to approach these situations, very apologetic, very empathetic, we're very sorry, and how can we make this right?
Sure.
And we just do make it right, whether it be a little bit of out-of-pocket compensation or something, we try to make it right whatever way we can. But that is a reflection of how over the years, these situations that have come up, we have resolved in a professional, positive way.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we did not, there would be a story to tell on our website for sure.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
And so we have, the very few instances that happened over the years, we really work directly with our clients and make sure that we make things right.
That's smart. It's a good thing to do, the right thing to do, and
It's the right thing to do. It's the ethical thing to do. There is a problem with, I guess, ethics and I guess a reputation of moving businesses regarding ethics.
sure.
So we try to be on that really, positive side of the coin of a really good, ethical business. You can trust us, work with us. We're not going to block your number and not answer your emails. We really try to work with our clients with whatever they need.
And that's only just smart for your own longevity too, because you pride yourself in your reputation because that's what sets you apart. One of the many things that set you apart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And that, being said, we do currently operate in a relatively small market compared to other moving companies that are based in more metro areas like Portland, Salem, Eugene, where you just simply require a large population base to keep business sustained and enough jobs coming in on average in your calendar because people just aren't moving that much. And really, we don't have very many repeat customers. We do have some repeat customers, but typically it's not a recurring service. Like I'm not going to come back every 2 weeks to do this for my nails or my,
Not mowing lawns.
Yeah, exactly. So like, for example, a landscaping service, that's recurring business. And you can, if you find enough clients, once you get that clients, it's continuous business. With our service, we are unfortunately constantly looking for new clients who need the specific service. So we do have to, keep advertising and keep marketing with our website that we do have some Google ads and some Facebook ads for.
Mm-hmm.
That's been the most successful advertising throughout our years is Facebook and Google. Mm-hmm. And even our Google advertising has evolved a lot, even in the past year with some new algorithms that they have with their advertising products. Pretty complicated, admittedly. Just trying to maximize that budget and turnover ratio and, point of contact that advertising could offer.
Yeah.
So we're really trying to maximize that. But some other programs haven't been that successful. Like advertising through Yelp has not been successful. Advertising through a couple other, a few others haven't been successful. With a business that you own, you are subject to a lot of different emails from like people offering various services, whether it's domain names or managing, payrolls or scheduling or even booking and bringing in business.
Yep, I get all of these all the time.
A lot of them, almost all of them are scams. And I do really kind of warn people from doing most of those.
You were saying like Facebook was a place you advertise in, Google, and then there's one on, I can't remember the name already, U-Haul.
Oh, yeah. So movinghelp.com is a website that's based through U-Haul. And it is how I got my business started. And I guess prior to this interview, I kind of thought about how much I want to disclose about these trade secrets. But really, they're not trade secrets and they're nothing proprietary. And this is something that people have every right to hear and listen to. And I guess the main thing I'm saying is this business here is a low-cost, low barrier of entry business. And that is part of the reason why I started, this load-unload labor service. Mm-hmm. That being said, someone could start one anywhere pretty quickly and be my competitor.
Like 2 days after listening to this episode, they could be like, oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah, and do it, right? And so go ahead and try if you like, but it is all about execution and delivery and doing these things properly over the years. And again, this is not an overnight business. We're 6 years into it now where I'm at this point right now.
Right.
So it's not something overnight. But I was thinking about am I gonna create more competition? Who knows? But I will talk about it. And so movinghelp.com is a website that is based through U-Haul, and that connects U-Haul customers with the local load-unload moving labor services in your area.
Gotcha.
So you can sign up for this website as a worker, as a moving service,
right?
And customers can book you through the website. And in fact, when customers,
It's essentially a marketplace.
it is a marketplace, yeah. And you do not work through U-Haul. You are your own independent contractor. You are self-employed. You are on their marketplace. But you do have the option, or the only way really, where customers who are booking a U-Haul, they'll ask you multiple things throughout your checkout process. Do you need any pads? Do you need any straps? Do you need a dolly? Do you need movers to help load and unload your truck? And it'll actually show you the list of available labor services in your area and their prices and reviews. And customers actually have the option to book them like directly in their checkout process. They pay for it through their credit card, through U-Haul right there. They actually paid for the moving service. So
Yeah.
they know they're going to pick up a U-Haul, and they know that some movers are going to be somewhere at like whatever time. It does require a follow-up call. Once I get their email for moving services, I have to call them, verify the time, verify the address. It's not like a completely like contactless experience. Like I do have to talk to the customer and
Right.
get things figured out. But we get paid through like a payment code. Like we get a payment code after we finish the service for them that they have, and then the funds go to us.
Gotcha.
So that's how that business works. And that's actually how we got started. So obviously, it is hard advertising and trying to find clients for any new business out of nowhere. And moving is going to be the hardest one, because you can't be, you're not knocking on neighbors' doors asking if you can mow their grass, do it for free this time. If you like it, I'll be, consider me as a client. The whole sending out brochures or leaving things on people's doors, it's just not an effective strategy because of how little people move. So having that marketplace to directly connect people who are moving to us was very helpful over the years.
Yeah.
A couple problems with that is I think the website takes like 15 to 20% of every move as like the fee to use that service.
It's quite a chunk.
Is a significant chunk. That has definitely been an issue over the years. Right now, the website is not as active as I believe it used to be in years prior, where admittedly, like the amount of work I receive now through the website is less than 5%. And it used to be 100%.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Less amount of jobs even compared to back in the day. I am dealing with a lot of different competitors on that website. Everyone from just even some people who have like some undercutting, really low rates for labor. So I guess technically we are not the lowest cost labor service. We are the lowest cost 5-star labor service. So we do have a really good reputation as a professional service, earn strong reputation, but we're not necessarily the bottom of the barrel lowest.
Sure.
If you search moving help right now on Google, that website is like the second page. It's not the first page anymore. You can only really find that website when actually checking out a U-Haul and doing that process. So I don't really know what happened with that website. I'm not mad that less percentage is through the website and taking more of a cut from me.
Yeah.
More work is better, and more volume of work is better for sure.
It sounds like things are going pretty well. You've worked hard on your business, and you've been doing it for, you said 6-7 years. And you also mentioned that you graduated a couple of years ago too. And it sounded like you were pretty motivated with a degree. I'm curious, what do you see your future looking like going forward?
Yeah, so currently I'm not doing anything involving my ecological engineering degree at the moment. I do want to do something with that eventually, though. That's still my passion of why I went to school and what I'd like to do. And I would like to start engineering at some point. I'm currently trying to keep this business maybe as streamlined and autonomous as possible. Automatic, keep it going as the business owner, have income come in, and eventually do start an engineering field and degree. I do unfortunately believe that any starting engineering position might still probably be a pay cut.
Really?
Yeah, with currently what I'm able to do right now.
It says a lot about where your business is at, because engineers get paid pretty well, even at entry
Yeah,
level.
absolutely. Even a starting level one. So as a starting level, do believe it'd be a pay cut, and that's probably a sacrifice that I'm going to have to make down the line. However, I do feel inspired by like the pay ceiling of something like a professional engineer, or even an engineering business owner themselves. I do believe that I have kind of earned the entrepreneurial skills, the management skills, the teamwork skills, the customer interaction skills, really all the type of things involved in owning a business and running a team that would be useful for solving problems, running a team, and owning a business in the engineering world. Thankfully, ecological engineering is a type of engineering where the average firm size is a lot lower compared to civil engineering, chemical engineering, things like that, where it's entirely feasible to be a project manager, professional engineer, and business owner of an actual engineering firm.
Okay.
There's a lot of Portland-based companies who are doing local restoration work. So seeing myself as a business owner in engineering is something I'd eventually like to do. I think that with starting a business in general, most people don't wake up one day and decide what business they're going to start out of the blue, and typically have had some exposure to that industry, profession, career, one way or another. It kind of goes into what I said earlier with knowing all the levels of operations of a business is important to then owning that business.
Sure.
So sort of working your way up from the bottom to a point of, more management ownership levels is, I guess, a standard, model of how to eventually own a business is get into the industry, figure out how it works, and then figure out how you can work your way up the ladder to a level of, eventually being the owner. I do plan on trying that in engineering one day because, I don't believe that most people wake up one day and after a dream realize that they have this brand new novel business idea that people aren't doing or haven't ever done, and they're just going to do it. And that's not the way it typically works. I have a pretty sort of simple blue collar way of getting into the position I'm in now. So.
Yeah. You've got options, and it's fantastic. You're so young still, and you've got your degree, and you've got all this experience, and you've got a business that's working at the moment. And whether you continue it or sell it or make it back burner and get a job, whatever, that's great.
Yeah, currently it's still, again, operating with a pretty low headache model as just a moving labor service and not dealing with all the other complexity of a full service company. So at this current time, I don't see myself necessarily transitioning to a full service company quite yet, or even before I would just start engineering or doing something like that. So I currently just see the business operating as a full as a load unload labor service where I can be the owner and operations manager, run things remotely, run things from a distance. And this really has allowed me to have so much free time in my schedule for all the other activities like I like to do. The flexibilities of being your own boss is really hard to understate. And, it's almost invaluable compared to different types of salaries you might be able to get at a job that demands that much more time and energy out of you. I'm really able to be places when I need to be for family events or other major events going on. I can take a weekend off. I can really almost be anywhere in the country that I need to be and still operate this business remotely. For example, I did that just this past May where I did injure my knee and did kind of go live with my folks for about 4 weeks while I was non-weight bearing, full crutches. I couldn't really do anything. So I did stay with my parents for a bit and run the business remotely. So compared to anybody else who has to leave their state and stop working and things like that, I was able to make just as much money from other places than I could at home. And I see myself able to go out more and I'm the type of guy, I guess you see the memes where, your unemployed friend on a random Tuesday at 2 p.m. and they're on top of a mountain or fishing or something like that. I'm your random self-employed friend on a Wednesday, and I'm fishing or I'm at the river, and I'm just, doing things that the average person doesn't get to enjoy during the average work week. And I am very fortunate for that, for sure.
Wow, what a sales pitch.
For sure.
Cool. So what advice would you have for anyone who's thinking about a bossless path?
Yeah. So again, I don't necessarily think that the average entrepreneur or self-employed person had a dream, woke up with the idea of what new novel business model they're going to start and get into that. And I don't believe most people who are in a self-employed position started as the boss or, the person in charge. Very often you have to get involved in that industry on whatever level you're able to, and understand these ins and outs of that operation, of that business, and work your way up is usually a good way to do it. That's the most realistic way, That's the reality of it. But if you have an idea that you did wake up from, definitely, jump on that opportunity, because life is short, and there are many opportunities to have, and people become, successful overnight on a regular basis too. So that being said, if you have a product to sell and a product to advertise, make sure your marketing is good, and your advertising is good. Market to the right audiences. For example, for our moving business, when we first started out, not only did we advertise on some moving marketplaces and just basic advertising on Google, but we reached out to a lot of specific businesses that might need our services, and that we are continued to be partnered with today. We dropped our business cards off at a lot of different storage units, a lot of different large apartment complexes that have residents regularly moving in and out, and a lot of different flooring, hardwood, and remodeling places that regularly have clients that have heavy furniture that needs to be out of the room and off the floor before they come in and do the carpeting. That's not usually an included part of carpeting. So if you have couches and china hutches in your living room, the carpet people aren't going to actually move that out of the way typically if it's real big and heavy. So we are currently partnered with a lot of different services that would use our business regularly. So marketing to the right people in your area that would be potentially using your service, going onto the website too, making sure that your website is clean, professional, resourceful, and useful as you can create or afford. And then continue to offer just really good service. I think good ethical business practices, trustworthiness is what goes a long way and is needed for sustainability in your business. Unethical business practices will get you and bring on your downfall in the long run.
They'll catch up with you.
They will catch up with you. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's sound advice, along with all the other advice that you've been sharing with us throughout your story.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. So you've mentioned a few times, but let's mention it again, the ways people can find you.
Yeah, so we have a website called beavertownmovers.com, where typically you can read a lot more about the services that we provide. You can read about our company and who's with our service as well, who's on our team. And all of our other contact information, phone numbers, emails can be found on our website, where you can look us there. Again, we are also on Google and Facebook, where we encourage people to do their research about our company, look through all our reviews, because we are really proud of the feedback that our customers have left over the years.
Awesome. All right, Nate. Well, thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me, Owen. It's a pleasure talking with you today.
Yeah. And there you have it. Another great conversation with another great guest. If you want to hear more just like this, then subscribe or follow the podcast. Until then, this has been the Bossless Path. Catch you next time.